not, you will not want to do business because if there's no profit, you want to do business. And then the second one is that when we buy equipment, we normally use a straight line depreciation, the in-house, right? Over 5 years, or some company use 7 years, depends, some 3 years if it's short, so it depends. It's a straight line depreciation. There's a cost of capital. But if you are in-house, you don't factor the cost of capital because your corporate give you the money or consign the equipment, right? And then charge depreciation only. But the offset, when they buy equipment, there's a cost of capital because they need to borrow money and so on, right? So there's a cost of capital. So that also has a factor. So when they say they are $1, meaning they are actually doing less than $1. Right? That's why they are competitive as compared to the in-house. So let's say that we decided maybe we are in-house, we are slightly cheaper than the offset. Maybe we are 10% cheaper than the offset. Then we have to make a decision whether we want to keep or outsource. Let's say we are cheaper than 10%. We are cheaper by 10%. Let's say that we are 90 cents, offset is $1. Shall we keep in-house or outsource? Right? Because in semiconductor, normally the business is very erratic. It's up, down, right? Good time, up. Bad time, down. Okay? So the unit cost just now we see the formula is by volume dependent. So when the volume drop, what happened? The unit cost go up. Then we are no longer competitive. So that's why some company, they keep certain volume in-house and certain volume at the sub. When volume is bad, when volume drop, they do everything in-house. They let the extra one, the subcon or the offset to handle. They manage that way. Right? Although that they have to pay a little bit more to the offset, they don't mind paying. Because to them, they say that later on when the volume drop or the business is not good, we don't have to suffer that. So what is the percentage? So you need to determine. Some company use 60-40, some company use 80-20, some company use 90-10, some 95-5. So different company have a different, you need to study your cost model and so on and then make a decision. That's why you do what if analysis. What if the volume drops to this? What if the volume drops to this? Right? Until to a certain point, you will find a sweet spot. That if the volume drop further than this, the company will close down. Then no point in it to analyze. Right? That's where you will find a sweet spot. You say that okay, we just operate based on 2/3, 1/3, or 80-20, or 60-40. Based on. So the what if. So there's a lot of analysis that you need to do in order to determine just to make one decision. There are also companies that look at fixed cost and variable cost. You will encourage company to go more on the variable cost. Right? The higher your variable cost, the better than your fixed cost. Because the fixed cost, when the volume fluctuates, nothing much you can do because you are holding a very high fixed cost. But when you have a variable cost, then very easy for you to fluctuate. Right? The higher your variable, the better you are as compared to the fixed. So that's why some company, in terms of the fixed cost, they don't want to handle. They just want to make their cost as variable as possible. Is salary a fixed or variable cost? It's a fixed cost. Right? So some company they want to make it variable, they hire contractors or they outsource it. They outsource talent to come in, so talent to supply so that their cost in terms of labor become variable, not fixed. Anyone familiar activity-based costing? Right? A lot of manufacturing companies use activity-based costing. Right? They based on maybe it's UPH, and then they look at the bottleneck on the process. So that kind of thing. So I'm not going to give you a class on activity-based costing. Right? So do not worry about that. So, but we see that, but not many companies use activity-based costing. Some companies use theory of constraint. Right? So you can argue which one is better, but that's not our discussion today. And we see that it's very common in manufacturing, not in R&D. In R&D activities company, I have never come across a company that use ABC or using ABC in R&D. Maybe this you can do a research why they are not doing this and how to implement activity-based costing in R&D organization. Okay. We still have time. Yeah. As earlier on, I mentioned about my favorite topic is dimensionless. As an engineer, when you can describe something in the dimensionless form, like the Pratt number, in dimensionless unit, dimension, for example, like an area, square feet or square meter and so on, that's dimension. Dimensionless means there's no number, random number, there's no dimension, So when you can achieve a dimensionless number, then you can track that number to see the improvement, the dimensionless. But to achieve the dimensionless, you need to figure out a lot of formulas, a lot of calculation need to get involved, then you can achieve that. Once you achieve, you'll be very happy to see the number when you track. Okay? I'll give an example here. OEE is almost a dimensionless because it gives in terms of percentage. Right? The availability by performance efficiency, by the quality, then the three factor that you mentioned, then you give the OEE. And we talked about lean just now. Okay. The world-class OEE is 85%. When you put 85% into 0.85, you can say 85% or 0.85. Right? Okay. I want to share another one about, you can also do a research in terms of diversity. As you know that our country, we are the only country that is very, very unique. And the strength of our country is the diversity that we have. If we go up north to Thailand, you can't find this kind of diversity. Even you go south to Singapore also, very difficult. Right? If you go to Indonesia also, very difficult to find diverse aspiration. And if you go to the Philippines also, it's not easy. So Malaysia is very, very unique, and that is our strength, the diversity. Right? So diversity alone is not enough if we don't have the inclusion. That's why a lot of multinationals, they have a policy about diversity and inclusion. To hire people with diverse background, ethnicity, genders, and so on. And there's a challenge, because when we hire people, we normally like to hire people like us, and that is the mistake. We have to hire people who are opposite of us, right? And we are not comfortable. We are not comfortable to hire people who are opposite of us, who have our weakness. Our weakness is their strength. So if we hire people with that kind of situation, that means opposite of us, then we have this diversity, right? Because we can complement each other. But if we hire people like us, then we are the same. Then who can complement us in terms of our weakness? So that's why the diversity and inclusion is very, very important. And in some organizations, they have a diversity index. It's a dimensionless that they measure how the organization has moved in terms of that diversity. Is it improving or not, that diversity? So one way they measure you can look at this. This is head count. Ethnicity, URG is the underrepresented group. The URG, these are the minority. And then you have the gender. Gender URG also. Some company may even measure the gender URG. Okay, and the level of the level URG here is that in terms of the seniority. Because sometimes you hire URG, but they are in the low level, right? So the company want to have even the URG to be the high level also, the level in the organization, right? So you mentioned, and that's a diversity index. So the diversity index here against the goal, because you have to set a goal. Let's say that for ethnicity, you want to achieve a 35%. Gender, you want to achieve 30%. And then the level in terms of seniority is 70%. So when you multiply all those numbers, you get 0.83. Your overall is at 0.83. And when you achieve 1, then you know that you met the goal. So this is the dimensionless number, right? So when you see the trend going up here, this is diversity index. See the trend, then you know that it's improving. Until when you hit 1, then you know you achieved the goal. Then when you hit 1, then you can change the URG. Maybe you want to improve to 30%. You know, the gender you want to improve further. Then when you change this, then your number will drop. The 0.83, or when it become 1, it will drop because now your goal have already changed. Right? Yeah. So this is the dimensionless number that will help you, but it involves few interaction in order to achieve this. Right? Once you achieve it, you find it very simple to track, rather than very complicated and try to figure out here whether there's improvement or not. By just looking at the number, you see that okay, I'm making a good progress of improvement. This slide will take us to the future. Sorry, not the future. This slide will take us to the look west. Right? In early 2000, right now, is it? Maybe I ask the HR. I know you are not a staffing person, but I think maybe you all also know. Is it difficult to hire an operator?
Yes.
Yes. Right. 15 years ago, now it's year 2015. I tested this theory to the HR people. And 15 years ago, it's still okay to hire local, to get a local operator. Right? But we foresee that you get it more difficult to get local. So when I put the challenge to my HR to hire the local, they were very happy because when they advertise, they can get the number of the local operator. When we advertise in terms of the operator, technicians, engineers, and so on, they say, see, we can still get the local. But if you look at the data, you find that if there's a 50 jobs for the operator, you only get 60 people come for the interview. But when you have 10 jobs for engineers, you have 200 engineers come for the interview. That already gives some sign. Right? Because when you look at the West, this is what has happened to the West. There are local people like in the US, you can't find the American as an operator. Very difficult to find, the foreigner, the Philippines, work as an operator. And this phenomenon has come to our part. Right? But we are lucky because whatever happened will happen there first before it come here. So we have time to react. Can you give me some example about what you see in the US that happening, in the Western world that never happened here but going to happen here? You know, when we were small, I think you are not born, so for me to take this story will be difficult. Only those very, very rich people have maid in their house. You know, in the old days, maybe like 40, 50 years ago. And the maid are the local people. Now, most of us have maid. Most of us, not say all, most of us. But if you look at the US, in the old days they have maid, very, very old. Then after that, they don't have maid anymore. Because their maids are very expensive. Will it happen in this part of the world? Possible, right? We talk about manufacturing operators just now. How about construction worker? In the old days, right, if you go to the US and so on, you find that the construction workers are not American also. They're not the local people, all foreigner. And we look at our construction industry now. Yeah, also the foreigner. So, right? So whatever we have seen that happen in the Western world is happening here. It's only that it's a matter of time. Say again?
Singapore actually happened.
Singapore.
Yeah, more like
Correct. And we look at the farmer. No? Right now we can still find the local one, but in US it's very difficult to find local. And then they go by the hours one. 1 hour is like $300 one. No, to do a plumbing job in US. So you will not be surprised that one day when we have a leak in our house, the pipe and so on, these are the things. Right? Technicians, engineers and so on. Maybe one day we will run out of technicians. So people do not want to become technicians because all have degree, all have PhD, all have masters and so on, right? They don't want to become technicians. So whatever happened in the past, so you can do a research on this that to see that, you know, what are the things that you anticipate that will come in future that has happened or will happen over here. So sometimes maybe when you submit your project, your professor will fail you because he say that, you know, it doesn't make sense and so on, right? But just a matter of time you can prove to your professor again that, you know, it's happening. So if you I still have time if you want me to cover on IoT and automotive. What? Okay. Okay. I know with the time here, I just want to talk about IoT is Internet of Things, right? And you can do research in Internet of Things and then come up with project also on Internet of Things. For example, that in the Internet of Things, you can talk about let's say that you want to go to the hospital, right? Now, when you go to the hospital, you have to register and so on. You can come up with a device that when you enter the hospital knows that you are already in the hospital and they will pull your record already. Right? And then when you register, they will say that, okay, your doctor's appointment is waiting for you and so on. So when you come to see the doctor already have all your information already within that, right? Rather than you wait and so on. So you can have that kind of device. Right? I'll give you some example on IoT. We see that the IoT will be the next emerging. The technology is not new. It's just the integration of the current technology only. The IoT. So that's the beauty of the IoT. You don't have to invent. You just have to. You need an integrator to put all those devices together to make it work. Right? So a lot of companies are now investing very heavily in IoT. And these are the company, from Broadcom, Avago bought Broadcom, right? And then you see Philips, of course, Google, Cisco, even GE, definitely Altera and so on, right? On the Internet of Things. Why? Because there's a massive opportunity in terms of revenue. There's a huge opportunity in terms of revenue. So people are going to grab this revenue. So what most of us won't see are these in the market segment, right? It's 10 to 15 trillion in terms of global GDP. That is helping. That's why you see a lot of companies are moving to this. They have a pie, they have a share in the Internet of Things. And these are already, some of us might have this already, right? It's like the road pricing system, like in Singapore, they have this in their cars, they move, they record the cars, the tolls and so on. Okay, just want to show one example here. This product, Amazon Dash, right? This is like just a small device that you put at the kitchen or at your washing machine. Then when you ran out your detergent, your laundry detergent, you press that button, then Amazon will ship